I don't know how many of you have heard, I don't want you to laugh because this name is as ridiculous as Shabbos Kestenbaum, Pesach Walicki. Does anybody know who Pesach Walicki is? Pesach Walicki is the Jewish Zionist spiritual advisor, or was, to Charlie Kirk. You know how Mike was his Christian Zionist spiritual advisor? Well, now you've got yourself your rabbi. I love that the internet is forever.
Final meeting that Charlie held, a meeting that I was honored to be a part of, was the night before he went out on this campus tour, the night before his first stop, as it was supposed to be, in Utah, where he was so horribly and tragically murdered. The night before that, Tuesday evening, at the end of the workday, we had a meeting. It was a Zoom call that Charlie had called to meet with a few close associates that he trusted to speak about Israel, to speak about issues about Israel, because he was about to go out on a campus tour, and he was anticipating all of the challenges and attacks that he would get relating to Israel, and he wanted to make sure that he had the facts and that he knew how to respond.
You mean you wanted to make sure that he had all of his Hasbara talking points and that he knew exactly how to dance around why are we involved with Israel to the extent that we are? And this is before the war, but in the midst of the genocide, a genocide that you push hard, very hard. This is one of the people that Candace Owens alluded to was in that text thread. Didn't have a lot of people. It had 8 or 9 people in it. And this guy's one of them. And he's already out here just telling a whole bunch of bullshit. But remember when this is from. This is from a few days after Charlie's killing. So he's trying to get ahead of the story. Doing a pretty crappy job. Just making himself look extra guilty.
So he called this meeting to prepare himself, essentially, to defend Israel. Think about that for a minute. Here he was, getting ready for his campus tour, and the final meeting that he had before the tour was to prepare himself to defend the Jewish state from the attacks that he knew were coming. And it drove him crazy that he got so many questions about Israel. It actually bothered him because he wasn't out there to talk about Israel. He was out there to talk about America. And yet, because he was such a prominent supporter of Israel.
When you make statements like that, you know that the person has something to hide. You don't have to say he was a prominent supporter of Israel. You could just say that he didn't really want to talk about Israel because America first was his primary concern. But when you come out right after his assassination, and there is ample footage of him saying Israel is a problem, and you insist that he was in love with Israel, you don't even offer a slight deviation from the statement. You offer a completely different narrative that even existed. So when somebody, again, if we're building a case against somebody on circumstantial evidence, this would be an example of a dishonest operator, of a poor witness. This isn't a character witness that you would rely on. This is a person that you actually think might have had something to do with the demise of the person in question that has been removed. You were one of the people in that conversation. Anthony, hope you're doing well, brother. See you in a couple of weeks. Charlie loved Israel? Really? When you talk like that, all the more reason to believe that the rabbi and the Israeli lobby as a conglomerate whole was in on this. Nobody of a higher stature in the political arena deviated from the narrative harder than Charlie Kirk. And he was killed for it. And this guy, well, he may have had something to do with it. I'm not going to say he definitely had something to do with it, because Lord knows if he heard me say that and he sees this clip, he'll accuse me of a crime and try to sue me in court. I just said allegedly, he might have something to do with it.
And there's so much anti-Israel sentiment on our campuses. He was constantly being attacked for his pro-Israel positions. So the Jewish community, the pro-Israel community, the Israeli community owes a great debt, and we must show our gratitude to this towering figure who really defended us and really held the line against a lot of anti-Israel hatred out there, even with all of his disagreements with our government and decisions that he made that maybe some of us in the pro-Israel community were not comfortable with. He was a great friend and someone that we really have to be grateful walked this earth and defended us so strongly and so proudly with such courage and such clarity. He'll be sorely missed. I'll miss him as a friend, as someone who I got to know, I was honored to know. In the Jewish community, the Israel supporting community, we'll miss him greatly.
You will miss him greatly once you realize that your entire operation is collapsing. The funny thing is that I guess in some way they thought that they were going to be able to hold this all together even while Charlie was taken out. But perhaps the primary motivator, which is what it seems to have been all along, is that the real reason that Charlie was removed is because he stood in the way of war with Iran on Israel's behalf. And that could not be tolerated. This was a war that Israel and the State Department has wanted since 1979, and now they've got it. They're going to regret it. They probably already are regretting it, but guys like Rabbi Pesach Walicki, he's probably a little older than 42. I'd still draft him anyway. But he would have you believe that this is a noble cause. So let's bring it to today, and let's see what Mr. Walicki has to say now, 6 months later.
Talk about Joe Kent. Big headlines regarding his resignation.
This has never been made public before, Aaron. If anyone's been following the plot about Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens and the famous screenshot that Candace made so much of, you know that I was in that chat group. Andrew Colvett was Charlie's number 2 guy who now hosts the show. Andrew was in the chat group as well. He was one of the 9 people in the group. He said that on the show that he gave those screenshots to someone in the government. Next thing we know, Candace Owens is talking about it. Candace kept saying that she has information from the top levels, that there's questions to be asked.
No, I'm just saying there's unanswered questions.
The messages had been given by Andrew to Joe Kent, and that Joe Kent had been the one to pass them on to Candace. This is
Now, whether this is true or not, he's being very presumptuous in his position that this is the case. But even if that is the case, what the hell is it to you? And you have Andrew Colvett, as this conversation comes full circle, you have Andrew Colvett specifically saying a lot of us have guilt. I mean, what was I supposed to say? That's a slip of the tongue that's a little too tight. How in the hell was this guy involved? How do these spiritual advisors always manage to slip under the radar? Because unfortunately in this country, they're considered untouchable. Jewish or Christian, it doesn't matter. If you are part of the Zionist contingent, well, you have a license to do whatever you want. And this guy certainly feels like he does. He's just throwing names out there like, oh yeah, this is definitely what happened. How do you know? Are you revealing info that you probably shouldn't? People really need to look into you, sir. Everyone looks at Bill Ackman and what role did he have in Charlie's end? What role did you have?
Someone who's the head of the counterterrorism. So when he said to Tucker, well, we all know about the text messages which were made public.
The pressure because of the text messages that have been made public.
You made them public.
And people don't trust you, your cause anymore. And it is our job to do what is necessary to bring you down. That's what we're going to do. It's not rocket science. They are losing their ability to control where people are at. And you can see how frustrated they're getting.